What's up, good people of War Room Nation? This is your boy Dev, War Room Sports. Welcome to episode number 182 of our podcast, The War Room. In today's episode, we'll be talking about the legend of Andrew Luck, Andrew Bynum trade, $50,000 shoelaces, Rihanna's box offering to Eagles linebacker Michael Kendricks, the Baseball Hall of Fame, the Charlie Strong hiring, the BCS National Championship game, it was a good one, the NFL Divisional Round, and much, much more. So make sure you sit back, relax, take a listen to episode number 182 of The War Room. Peace.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the War Room. We got Dev, Kill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the Hot Block Commander. How you want it in a 1 or 2 hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level. Bold with the topic, sorta like the rebels when it's game time. They like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerates speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4th and 26th saw the war in Kuwait. It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.
Better know, homie. What up, good people of War Room World? Welcome back to another edition of your favorite show. You are once again live in the War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports. I'm Devin McMillan, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Jimmy Williams and B. Austin. We got a good show for you today, as usual. Big trade went down in the NBA, and the NFL playoffs are in full swing. But before we discuss that, make sure you join us right now in the JW Philly Realty chat room at blogtalkradio.com/The War Room, or join us on Facebook or Twitter at War Room Sports so you can get into the conversations. You can also call us directly when we open up the Digital Extreme Tech Hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. Also, be sure to leave yourself a reminder to check out some of our partner shows during the week, every week. Make sure you check out Roy and Chris on the Broad Street line every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Blog Talk Radio, and then check the listings for Brandon and Daniel on Sports Trap Radio, now on the iHeartRadio network. In addition, don't forget to catch us in syndication 3 times on Fridays on NewVibeRadio.com. That's 7 a.m., 1 p.m., and 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and on Sundays and Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on FatsRadio.com. What's new, Generals? What's going on this week?
You know, man.
Woo!
I'm just happy to be.
I'm in the street like a homeless person species, but I'm here though.
I'm very happy to be here. All right, we got a lot of stuff popping off. You know, you got a new football coach in Washington. You know,
absolutely.
Big Bynum, back out of here. Everything.
JoJo awards to give out.
Yeah, we got a lot of JoJo awards to give out. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it because I see some JoJo nominations coming up. So I'm gonna let everybody know what's happening this week while they were on the grind. And we know the grind is the segment that garners the most JoJo awards. But you also know that the grind, well, if you listen to the show, you know the grind is brought to you by DirecTV. If you like a better TV experience than cable has to offer, including that NFL Sunday ticket, you know, when football season rolls around, you got to have that. Just go to our website, warroomsports.com, click on the DirecTV logo, order yourself a better TV experience at a discounted War Room Sports sign-up rate. I know everybody likes discounts, so if you call yourself a sports fan, then you got to have DirecTV. All right. While y'all were on the grind, your man J.R. Smith Earl Smith of the New York Knicks was fined $50,000 for untying shoelaces. Now, if you don't know what this story is about, then you're like, huh? How do you? What did he run around with his Adidas with no laces like Run DMC, or like what happened? But no, this guy during games was caught twice bending down, mostly like while players were in the free throw lane, untying his opponent's shoelaces. The first offense was Sunday against the Mavericks. He in the second quarter, he untied Sean Marion's shoelaces. He got warned for it prior to their next game, which was Tuesday against the Pistons, but he didn't listen. They were at the free throw. Somebody was at the line. They were in the lane, and he tried to untie Greg Monroe's shoes while they were lined up on the free throw line. What do you guys think? What's going on with J.R. Smith, man? Is he melting down? Is he imploding? Or is it a good thing to have fun like this on the basketball court?
Well, Cornbread Earl, as I like to call him, is you use the word meltdown. He does not want to be in New York. He does not care that Mike Woodson has basically leveraged his entire career and all of the equity and capital he has left on keeping JR around. He's mad that his bum-ass brother got sent packing to Siberia, so he's just showing out. He knows his contract is guaranteed, and I don't know whether he realizes his level of talent or not, but I think he may figure, well, I'm always going to be able to get a job. I can jump 48 inches off the ground, and I can shoot pretty well, so I'll get a job. But he's really killing his stock right now because it's not just the shoelaces. It's everything. It's the clubbing, it's the partying, it's the weed. He's got a laundry list of things
it's the
going on in his life. threatening text. Yeah. I mean, he's threatening tweets, threatening text. He's losing his ever-loving mind. And I find it funny that they chose to fine him $50,000 for the shoelaces with all of the other stuff that he's done throughout the course of this season.
Well, he's been fined. He's been fined a few times throughout the course of the season. So, the whole hostile tweet thing, he got fined $25,000 for that. But Jimmy, his coach Woodson said in an interview that his conduct is unacceptable. What do you think of his conduct?
Here's my thing, right? I look at this. You know how, let me break this down real quick. You know how women like to get with men and they think they can fix them or they can change who a man is, and that's why they end up with their heart. That's a whole other story. But the bottom line
is... What, they end up with the third and fourth child coming to the household when you don't know it? Oh, shout out to D-Wade.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Yo, boy, all I'm saying is this, man. At the end of the day, people show you who they are every day. It's up to you whether you want to accept it or not. You know what I'm saying? And the fact of the matter is, J.R. Smith is J.R. Smith. And this is the behavior that he had beforehand. I mean, he was drinking during playoff games, for Christ's sakes. This is J.R. Smith is just being J.R. Smith. So at the end of the day, now you want to get mad, but you paid this man knowing he was like that. He wasn't going to change. Why would he change considering he got caked up while being himself? Come on, man. So I don't even blame J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith is being himself, and now they have a problem with it. And by the way, J.R. Smith is needed, J.R. Smith makes the league entertain. Years like this when the play is poo-poo and I could barely watch games, his antics make me want to watch back. J.R. Smith is needed right now. Free J.R.
You know what,
Smith.
though? You know what? The funny thing is, though, and like all jokes aside, he is so talented that he is needed. It's not even about the antics and the stuff that we utilize to poke fun at him and get our ratings up. It's the fact that he is so talented that dude fits. He fits on someone's got to take a shot on dude because of the talent level.
Yo, man, J.R. Smith, man, we want him on this wall. We need him on this wall. He's needed right now in the NBA, man. Let's go, J.R. Smith, man. J.R. Smith, y'all.
J.R. Smith. Stay away from the shoestrings, buddy. All right.
By the way, the act of him actually doing it, though, the video of watching him do that is downright hilarious because, that's something that Dennis Rodman would do.
Yeah, definitely. But Dennis Rodman's IQ, basketball IQ.
Dennis Rodman got other issues right now, yo.
Yeah, people need to tell Rodman to stop trying to speak publicly in front of cameras while you're on Molly. That don't work.
My man is a communist. My man is a communist freedom fighter.
Yeah, my man is on that meow. He's on that meow right now, man.
Yeah. Well, look, fellas, this is we do a lot of pop culture references, during our show that, only the coolest of the coolest people will catch. Something that we reference all the time is the Spike Lee movie He Got Game, since this is a sports show. And that was about basketball. Ray Allen was in it. Well, those guys, what's this, 15 or so years later, they're mulling a sequel. So Spike Lee and Ray Allen have been in touch, and they're trying to throw ideas off the wall about a sequel to He Got Game. Do you guys think they should do this? Is it a go if it's up to you?
I mean,
because Ray Allen said that the only way he would want to do it is they can get everybody back, get all the characters back. I'm wondering if that includes Dakota, the prostitute, but either way.
Yo, I'm gonna ask it like this, brothers. Do you guys want to see the educators from Tech U again? Do you guys want to see Rosario Dawson again? I know I do. I want to damn near enroll at Tech U.
But the assistant coaches from Tech U, I'm pretty sure if they're doing a sequel 15 years later, Tech U ain't gonna have nothing to do with it, unless he has a son or something like that that's about to go to college. Because he and Lala were no, she wasn't pregnant. He made her have an abortion, so I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna swing that.
As much as I love certain things, like certain things just need to die. There needs to be no more Rockies. There needs to be no more. Let things die, man. Because, what are you going to do? I mean, is his career going to be over at this point? Like, he can't be. Like, Ray Allen can barely play these days. Like,
he's going to be getting recruited to be a coach instead of a college player.
I just let it be, man. Let it stand where it stands, man. By the way, side note though, as much as I like the movie in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of overrated. That's it's my opinion.
As basketball movies, we talked about basketball movies before, and that wasn't in my top 5.
It's not in mine either.
Remember, but I can watch anything with a pill. Plus, Spike made some parts of that movie so ignorant that what else could you do but like it? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of aspects of certain Spike Lee movies that you can't help.
Do the right thing with the Ice Cube. No, man.
I'm indifferent. I mean, if they make the movie, I'll see it. I'm a Spike Lee fan anyway. But like you said, Ray Allen, he can barely play anymore. But you're gonna put him in there, and he only has to play against like Denzel Washington, whose character is probably gonna be in his 60s in the movie, so he should still shine a little bit. But when they say everybody, I'm just, I already asked you guys, like, does everybody include the whore, Dakota? I mean, they're trying to get Travis Best.
Bring the Uber back.
They're trying to get Travis Best and Walter McCarty and all those guys back, or can they find a better cast?
No, I ain't trying to see Walter McCarty. No.
How about just remaking it with like a new cast and a new twist on the story or something? Like, don't make a part 2. Like, some things are better just like remade, a different interpretation of it. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of B, I'm good. I'm good money.
J.R. Smith can play Jesus.
Yo, that is needed right now. J.R. Smith is needed in the world, yo.
J.R. Smith as Jesus. All right, well, speaking of, assistant coaches at Tech U and box offerings and stuff like that, even though we weren't really speaking of them, that's just a hot-ass segue. Rihanna, she offers the box to Michael Kendricks, linebacker of the Philadelphia Eagles.
And he blushed.
Well, you know how easy it is these days. You can just get on Twitter, get on Instagram or something like that. And that's what she did. She posted a picture of him on Instagram, and the caption says something like, "My man crush." I didn't know, I thought just a crush between a woman. I don't know. But I didn't really think she had to put man, but unless she has women crushes. But
she has.
What do you guys think? Because I see a lot of Eagles fans who are out here seriously discussing this, whether he should take the offer or not. And I see a lot of dudes out there talking about, no, she's a man-eater, she's this and that. Like, really? Would you guys advise him to turn down this offering?
Yo, first off,
I'm gonna let Jimmy you rock, because I got 2 perspectives.
All right, here's the perspective. She put the hashtag MCM, which is like one of those little Instagram that's their, have their own language, the Man Crush Monday, or
take the box.
or WCW is like the Woman Crush Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? So that's a little Instagram jargon. But the bottom line is this: it would do wonders for his image. I mean, the boys do look like Chris Brown if he was in shape. Not saying Chris Brown's not in shape. Paul's on everything I just said. But at the end of the day, they both light-skinned Libyan brothers that kind of resemble each other. So, you know what I'm saying? So we all know what her type is. Yeah,
she got the diesel Chris Brown.
Yeah, there you go. So she got her own type of whatever. So it's not shocking. But what this would do for his brand, because he started
Chris
to come
Brown
on
with a thick neck.
For the simple fact that the Eagles have been in prime time, Eagles have been in prime time like the last 8 weeks, it seems like. So his stock has risen. This would take his stock to a whole new level. I guarantee you, before these last couple of primetime games, she didn't even know who he was. So this will probably take it to the next level, and you know, it would do wonders for him. Probably get a big contract. But in terms of her being a man eater, yo.
Ain't nothing wrong with a man eater.
Yo, man, listen, man.
If you like to eat the man, I mean.
Yo, I'm all about her succeeding. We just want Rihanna.
Well, pause me because Boy got a big neck. Hell, I got to do with that. we looking at his neck too closely, brother. We just want Rihanna to succeed. That's all. You got to look at a football player's neck closely to see that he got a big neck.
Y'all
like the man with the half
I'm not
dead
looking
picture.
I ain't looking at nobody's man neck, brother.
Yo, the only photos they get are headshots.
He gonna keep going.
Y'all out of control. Oh my God, man. Yo, all I'm saying is, like, you know, Rihanna.
I'm disappointed at all the men out there telling that man not to take the offer, though. I mean, come on.
I mean, knowing damn well they would, man, because every time they see Rihanna.
Y'all been talking about perspective. There's only one perspective.
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it.
And the thing is, he's not a married man.
I'm gonna keep it funky. Number one, I saw the pictures, and number two, I saw the video. So, yeah. Yo, Riri,
she got
salute to you,
She got that one picture. She got that one picture on her IG page. Anybody on Instagram knows exactly what I'm talking about. And he's not even married.
There's a God somewhere.
Turn around for me, ladies.
Plus, she looked like a, you know what I mean? She's like a perv. Anyway, she had two successful musicians in the club throwing bottles at each other. You already know she got the sunshine. So Michael Kendrick, man, it'll do wonders for your career, yo. It'll make you a household name. It's not gonna last if that's what you're looking forward to. So just go ahead, do what you gotta do.
Might as well.
Yeah. Shame on all you people telling him to turn it down. Shame on y'all.
Go kill yourself, knowing none of y'all would turn it down. Fraud.
Yeah. And y'all married. Anyway. Dee Dee Bonner is her name. That's A.J. McCarron's mother. At the end of the national championship game, while Jameis Winston was being interviewed, she sent out a tweet that said, quote, "Am I listening to English?" So, you know, a little bitterness there, it seems like. But Twitter kind of turned on his head, and she's been getting a lot of backlash from it. Of course, she ended up apologizing. And she and A.J. McCarron's girlfriend, Catherine Webb, for the last few days have been defending themselves on Twitter, trying to tell everybody that they're not racist. What did you guys think about, you know, her comments while famous Jameis Winston was interviewing after the game?
Here's the reality. I said the same exact thing she did. But at the end of the day, even though it's unfortunate that she's being treated that way, you have to be smarter and understand the climate in which we live. So, you know, I kind of fall on both sides. Like, it's ridiculous because you said that he can't. I mean, the man can't speak English. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, it's also listen. It's your ancestors.
Foghorn Leghorn.
Shit, yo. It is what it is. I mean, we already know that most of college students reading the 5th grade level anyway.
Right. It's like you got to know. It's what you have to lose. Like, you know, you and I can say something on Twitter like that because we don't care, and people listen to us to hear us be 100% honest most of the time. But her son is in the same position that this guy is in. So even if people aren't taking it as her being racist, a lot of people still look at it as her being a little jealous, being bitter because, this guy beat out her son for the Heisman Trophy. This guy just won the national championship like she thought her son was going to end up doing this season. So, it's a lot. It seemed like there's a lot of bitterness there, but I didn't even hear the interview. As a matter of fact, that's actually like right when he got to the microphone is when I turned it off. I mean, it didn't have anything to do with him or what I thought he might sound like, but that just happened to be exactly when I turned off the game. So I didn't even get to hear, what she actually made the tweet about. So I'm going to try to see if I can see that interview to see if she has a point or not. But
here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. It's also where you shared it. You put it out on Twitter, and she has a lot of followers. And you got to understand, like, certain things are cool whether you're in the house. Like, get a GroupMe account, Some of the stuff that we say to each other during games, I would never put on Twitter. And I'm one of the most ignorant bastards that live, but I still understand time and place. So she has to understand that, man.
It's all about understanding perception. And if you ain't saying something positive, then there's room for negativity to be interpreted in 6 million and one ways. So, I look at that as being really her fault, even if she didn't intend for it to be taken one way. First of all, your son was competing, in one of college's highest awards against this guy, and now you look fickle, and you probably are fickle, and then there's the white-black race relation thing. So, I mean, come on, Didi. You knew what time it was. Even
Jameis
though
Winston
probably agrees with you.
Jameis Winston had a word for his critics. He said, "For all the people that criticize the way I talk, this is for y'all. The Florida State Seminoles are national champions. That is all." So he got the last laugh, even if you couldn't understand what the hell he was saying. He got the last laugh.
No. Can I? Yo, real quick. His Twitter is Jabu Win.
I can't even understand that English, but
he speaks the Dun language.
You got to spell that, bro.
Jabu Win.
Speak the Dun language.
J-I-B-B-O-O.
Moving on from Foghorn Leghorn. Steelers fan is suing the NFL over the Chargers getting into the playoffs over their Steelers. We all know the controversy that happened. The Steelers needed a perfect storm to get into the playoffs, and it seemed like they were getting that storm until the whole field goal fiasco in Kansas City. So a Steelers fan, his name is Daniel Spuck of Mercer, PA, he's filed a motion against the NFL to the U.S. District Court of the Western District of Pennsylvania. He's seeking a temporary emergency injunction on the basis that the Chargers should have never been in the postseason to begin with. This dude is serious, yo. Because, the officials failed to call that a legal alignment on the Chargers, and that would have allowed the Chiefs kicker to re-kick a field goal that he missed. A lot of crazy stuff. But what do you think of this fan taking it that far that he really went to the courthouse and filed a motion because his team didn't make the playoffs? Too much?
Way too much. Way too much. Way too much, yo. I mean, yo, this is embarrassing, yo. Cut it out, man. There's 16 games in the season, yo. Like, come on, King. Like, you gotta, stop. I don't even know what to say. When I read this, I'm like, are you serious? And then it's like the Steelers of all teams. Like, seriously?
He said he wants the NFL to suspend the playoffs for a week to 10 days, allow Chiefs kicker Ryan Succop to re-kick the field goal, or let the Steelers and Chargers face off on a neutral site to see who advances. Don't let me see this cat on the street, man. What are you about to say, B.O.?
The Steelers need to silence him for fear of embarrassing themselves and their fan base, man. Like, what's wrong with dude? What's wrong with dude?
It's just unfortunate, yo. It's very unfortunate, yo. Very unfortunate.
He's definitely.
You're the Steelers. You're the Steelers, though.
He wants them
he
to.
Is definitely. a nominee.
Yep, we have
right,
a
man.
nomination for him.
All right, that's all I got. I don't have anything else that I could possibly say about this dude, so we're just going to go ahead and move on. Everybody, that's what happened this week while y'all were on the grind.
It's time to give some birthday shout-outs, as we are known to do in the War Room, the single greatest podcast known to man. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, with that being said, these birthdays are brought to you by Dr. Monique Roll of Alexandria Podiatry Associates. For the best and comprehensive treatment of injuries to the foot, ankle, and lower extremities, visit Dr. Monique Roll of Alexandria Podiatry Associates. Treating patients in the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia area and beyond, visit www.alexandriapodiatry.org or call 703-379-0700. Don't forget, tell me you were referred by War Room Sports, because we have a special rate that you can only get by coming to War Room Sports. And who doesn't like to hook up? It's time to get these shout outs.
Hook up.
Birthday, yay!
You know what I'm saying? Like Percy Miller, we got the hookup. By the way, yo, shout out to Percy Miller for making and also playing in the NBA, because he did play in the NBA, yo. Even though it was a preseason game.
You call that playing?
Think about this though. My man literally made hip hop. He followed his dream, made it to the NBA. Man, he didn't play in a regular season game. So what? The fact that he made it that far. Side note. Anyway, the first birthday is one Chad Ochocinco Johnson, who turns 36. Shout out to Ochocinco.
Headbutt.
Known for
George Animal Steel.
Prolific tweeter.
Junkyard
Also, major headbutt king. You know what I mean? He was a tough receiver at one point, then got involved with the reality TV, and that's never really worked out for any athlete. Next one. A lot of people's favorite, because this guy reps for the little guys. Tyrone Muggsy Bowles turned 49. Shout out to Muggsy Bowles.
Overrated.
Shout out to Muggsy. He was in Space Jam.
Who the
hell overrates Muggsy Bowles?
I mean, overrated in what? Like, between him and Spud Webb? Like, what is he being rated on? Like,
yo,
Muggsy,
if you get into a dialogue with some of these older cats, they will swear up and down that the boy Muggsy was nice.
I mean, D.C., he's like a legend there based upon his high school.
Baltimore, they hate him in D.C.
Well, all of it's the same, the DMV area. He's a legend in the DMV area. So at the end of the day, I would understand that, but that's based upon him being a high school athlete. I don't know about him being overrated. Anyway, Dick Enberg. I don't know.
Think about it, though, man. The dude was 5'3", 136 pounds. I'm not exaggerating. He was 136 pounds. And the dude played in the NBA for 15 years. You got to give him some kind of props. You got to. I mean, 'cause my thing is just to make it to the league at that size, at that time. For 3 seasons.
Tough era too, yo.
For 3 seasons, he averaged double figures. And for 2 other seasons, he averaged double figures in assists. Yo, he weighed 136 pounds.
Come on, cuz.
Yo, come on, man.
I personally just can't call that young man overrated. It is what it is, man. Anyway, next birthday, turning
pound
the right
for pound,
young
he's the
age.
greatest of all time. Literally.
I mean, well, man, listen.
He weighed 136 pounds.
Come on, yo, Dick Enberg turned 79, yo. Shout out to Dick Enberg. Bart Starr, I didn't know he was still alive. Bart Starr turns 80. Hall of Fame Packers quarterback Bart Starr turns 80.
Might not be.
Second greatest Packer quarterback of all time, because Mrs. Rogers is like number 1 now. But anyway, we'd like to give a nice big War Room salute to all these gentlemen on their birthdays.
Yo.
My birthday, yay!
Y'all can check out our website at warroomsports.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for the War Report. That's our weekly newsletter. Click on the Contact Us tab to send a message about the company, the show, or to inquire about sponsorship and advertising opportunities, because we do have them. your business out there. For general inquiries, email us, info@warroomsports.com. While you're browsing the site, click on the memorabilia tab to buy War Room Sports merchandise. Click the blog tab to read our latest sports articles on the All Fair and Sports and More blog. Then click the respective icons to like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our iTunes podcast, download our free War Room Sports mobile app, and watch our videos at warroomsportstv.com. Join the JW Philly Realty chat room right now during the show at blogtalkradio.com/The War Room. To enter the chat room, just sign up for a free profile on Blog Talk Radio. If you don't want to do that, you can sign in through your Facebook or Twitter accounts, and while you're at it, click follow to get updates and reminders about the show. We'll be taking questions, reading posts from Facebook, Twitter, and the chat room during the show. To call in and speak with us directly, dial the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you would like to talk. And the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline is open right now. So if you want to talk about anything that we're about to talk about, if you want to get into the conversation, just call in and get at us. Let's get into some hot topics real quick. Gentlemen,
let's talk about
Jimmy,
it.
hot topics are brought to you by.
Listen, man, you already know that in terms of sponsorships, these are my people. Audible. If your schedule is too hectic to read as much as you want, try audiobooks and kick back and let someone else do the reading for you. All you have to do is visit Audible and sign up for your free trial, and that will be at audibletrial.com/warroomsports. By using that link, you get a free audiobook. And as you all know, my audiobook game is top-notch. Just started the Dr. J books. I'm still working my way through that. It's a long book, but biographies are the truth, because the stories that you hear in biographies you will never hear on documentaries, because I've seen the Dr. J documentary, like the Mike Tyson one. What you saw on HBO is nothing compared to what's in the book, yo. Nowhere near the amount of fornication, fighting, and just wild craziness. So at the end of the day, yo, get the audiobook, have somebody read to you. It's better than movies, and it's also better than TV. audibletrial.com/warroomsports. Just go get a free book.
Peace.
What's poppin'?
All right. Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, Frank Thomas all voted into the Hall of Fame yesterday, so they're going to join the 3 managers that we talked about a few weeks ago who were voted in by the Veterans Committee. So congrats to those guys. Craig Biggio fell 2 votes short. And, of course, the quote-unquote steroids guys were left out again. So we come to this discussion again, fellas. You know, the Barry Bonds of the world, Mark McGwire, those guys were turned down again for the Hall of Fame, and it wasn't even close. So it's not like, every year they're getting closer and closer. It's just not close because a lot of voters out there are, really going to go to the wall with this morality thing, and it doesn't look like these guys will get into the Hall anytime soon, if at all. Maybe you have to wait till the next generation of voters come up, but it just doesn't look like these guys are going to get in. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Too many of the players during that era, I think, were juicing and for them to leave these guys out. I think it was more of a level playing field than they're letting on. And Dev, I think I've heard you kind of speak to that. These guys are they're falling on the sword, so to speak, and they're kind of the poster boys for it. But I think everybody was doing it, And prior to the steroid era, you had the amphetamine era, and to simplify that, yes, nose candy in the 70s, So what? I don't know. I definitely think that it's difficult to keep Barry Bonds out. I'm going to say that bottom line.
I mean, for me, I've made the argument of why you can put him in, why you probably should, but on the other side of that coin, I'm not going to be one advocating. I'm not going to care too much if the guys never do make it. I don't know. I guess I'm on the fence like that. But if I was pressed to make a decision, if I was a voter, I would vote him in. Strictly because, like you said, we don't know how many people was doing it. They think a lot of people were doing it, so the playing field probably was a little more even than we would like to think. Baseball got fat while all of this was going on. It's hard to make us believe that they didn't know that this was going on. So that's one of the things. Like, if baseball wanted to ignore it, then I would ignore baseball when it's time to vote. Jimmy, what are your thoughts on this? You're a huge baseball guy.
I think it's a crock of BS. I think it's ridiculous. It's repugnant. It's ignorant. It's stupid. I mean, at the end of the day, you're trying to legislate behavior. You could say they cheated the game. I mean, a lot of people cheated the game who are in the Hall of Fame, and you could say, okay, well, Pete Rose didn't. Come on, man. I understand there's part morality in terms of going in, but at the end of the day, when you tell the story of baseball, this is the Jimmy Williams theory. When you tell the story of baseball, there is no way you can tell that story without mentioning Roger Clemens, arguably the best pitcher in the last 20 years. I know in my generation, he's the best. Barry Bonds, the best all-around player, one of the top 5 all-around players in the history of the game. Even before, he started looking like Thor, he was already the best player in baseball. So at the end, how can you tell the story of the game? I mean, the steroid era is part of the game, and you really don't. And furthermore, you don't even have proof on a lot of these guys that they even did anything. It's all speculation. So it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing, and it's crazy. These guys are Hall of Fame players. I thought that's what the Hall of Fame was. Like, they may not have been the Hall of Fame individuals, but they are Hall of Fame players. Come on, cuz. It's a bunch of white beaters. It's a bunch of – go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying, but playing devil's advocate a little bit. But, even if you're a Hall of Fame level player, if you are looked at to have cheated, then, does it matter if they can't tell the story without you?
Well, here's the thing. If you're looked at, you can be looked at to be cheated, but have you been proven to have cheated? It's all speculation. So, I mean, someone can, some writer or something in the future can just, start a witch hunt and create a story about somebody that doesn't have to be true. And if there's no proof, then, I mean, guys have even went to court, went to court. And it's still, so it's like this whole thing is ridiculous. And even beyond that, how do you even know who was and who wasn't on at this time just because there were stories surrounding certain players?
Bonds was found guilty in his perjury trial, wasn't he?
I don't know. Of perjury? Did he get found guilty of perjury? It may be perjury, but he never got found guilty of. He never got found guilty of being on any drug. It was just perjury, lying in terms of the line of questioning he got.
But he was lying about being on drugs. He was lying about
he wasn't lying. The perjury wasn't about him lying about being on drugs.
He kept saying he didn't knowingly take steroids.
It was about the specifics of an incident within there that he was just lying about. Anyway, but that's either here or there. The bottom line is, these guys are Hall of Fame players.
It is here or there.
No, it's not. It's not, yo. It's not here or there, yo. Here's the bottom line. B. Austin, you mean to tell me that Barry Bonds isn't a Hall of Fame baseball player?
No, yo. I'm all.
I mean, but that's the whole
controversy
here. We know that. The voters even know that. That's the whole controversy here. But they're looking at the guys as being cheaters. And like I said, I would make the case for those guys to be in. The only thing, I found myself arguing the other day, it might have been today, even when you agree with people, sometimes you don't really agree with their logic and their reasoning. I don't really like when people bring up the whole fact that, Barry Bonds was a Hall of Fame player before he used steroids. My analogy for that is okay, I had 2 degrees before I started smoking crack, but that doesn't mean after I get out of rehab, the corporate America
should ignore the fact
that I was
smoking crack.
Yeah, they're not obligated to give me a corporate job just because I have 2 degrees. I was a crackhead in between that, and I messed that up.
But there's no obligation for them to let him in. But it's still
perjury. The perjury trial was Barry was claiming that he thought he was given flaxseed oil and arthritis balm, and that was in a grand jury trial in 2003. And in 2006, they rang him up on perjury because they said, no, you knew it wasn't flaxseed oil and arthritis
that's
balm.
why I don't get into that.
But here's the thing, Austin.
I'll make the case for these guys to get in, but I'm not going to sit there and be like, it's speculative. We know these.
But here's the thing, though. Barry Bonds actually wasn't found guilty.
You said he looked like Thor.
He wasn't found guilty in that trial. There was a mistrial declared, and the counts were dropped. He never got found guilty.
No, he was found guilty.
He was found guilty of obstruction
of justice.
Obstruction of justice for giving incomplete answers because he was basically disrespecting him. But he had a mistrial on the counts of perjury, obstruction of justice.
Okay, no, but Jimmy, I understand that. That's why I keep saying I make the case for these guys, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't know what they were doing. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, they didn't get found guilty. It's just speculation.
Man, this is America, man. That's all that matters, man.
You're not going to use the technicality. You're not going to use the technicality to insult your intelligence or anyone else.
No, it's not about something.
But like Jimmy, I agree that they should be in the Hall of Fame because you can't tell a story of baseball without them. That's what I'm saying. I just won't. I refuse to go down that whole. Because I do that to people. Even if I agree with them, if I don't like their logic and their reasoning, then I'm gonna make that known. Like, okay, that's not why I agree with you. But I definitely agree that they should be in the Hall of Fame. But I'm definitely not going to act like I didn't know what they were doing for like 19 hat sizes.
That analogy that you use, to me, that just doesn't fit because we're talking about being honored for your play. So if you're an NBA player, you have 12 seasons of Hall of Fame-worthy career, and then you just fall off the wagon, you can't erase those 12 years. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're talking about getting a job if they're coming out of rehab. Hopefully you went to rehab.
If it's known that you cheated to do what you were doing, even though, like you said, we all agree, dude was already the man before. I mean, I don't know when he started. I'm talking about Bonds now. I don't know when he started.
When his face got big.
Yo, he was a Hall of Famer before he.
But I mean, I've never taken steroids, so I don't know how long it takes for your face to get big. So I have no idea how long he was on the juice.
But all I'm saying is the thought of Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens not being Hall of Fame baseball players is a joke to me. Like, because
I agree.
And there are writers who have done this, and you start going through the history of cats who are already in. And again, we don't like to do that. They're already in, so you should get in. But that's kind of the way it is.
And there are some writers who are on our side of the coin. Before we get to Fred Perdue of Heavy in the Games.
What happens if they found out Frank Thomas is on steroids 2 years from now after they let him in? They're going to pull him back out?
They probably will.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
don't underestimate baseball.
And by the way, the fact that Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame was a joke as well. He's probably one of the best hitters in the history of baseball. It's a joke. That's baseball. I'm sorry.
All right. Tell them why you mad, son.
Don't let me ever get a baseball
vote. Of Heavy in the Games, another Florida guy, Dan Le Batard, he actually has a Hall of Fame vote, and he sold his vote to the website Deadspin in protest because he think a lot of guys that have votes are too hung up on this whole morality thing, and they're not letting deserving people into the Hall of Fame because of it, and he thinks it's a joke. So he sold his vote to Deadspin, and Deadspin basically just put it out there to their readers and let them vote on who they wanted Deadspin to put their vote on. So I thought that was noble. It's not really going to get you anywhere except for kicked off of the voting committee. His vote is probably done forever, but
it is. It is, but it is what it is. Now, I think it was a noble thing, and I think it was also kind of funny. But I also think that he's right. These cats with this whole, and half of them got skeletons in their closet. All these moral police, they probably all a bunch of weirdos and freaks too.
I can see why he did it though, because if most of the guys are voting the way they're voting, like your vote really doesn't mean anything anymore. So what the hell you need it for? All right, but with that said, let's stay in the state of Florida because we got our college football expert Fred Perdue of HeavyInTheGames.com on the line. He's going to talk with us a little bit about his thoughts on the national championship and how that ended between Auburn and Florida State. A little bit about the Charlie Strong hire and Johnny Manziel declaring for the NFL draft. Fred, what's up? You there?
Hey, guys. What's going on?
What's going on?
Heavy in the game.
What's
going on?
What's going on, man? Like, let's
good,
jump right into it.
I'm good.
Like,
I'm upset,
the last
man.
time you were.
I want a little more college football, but it is what it is.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure you. Like in a week, you're gonna be shaking, going through withdrawal. Like,
I mean, you get to watch your Patriots lose this weekend, so you'll be all right. Jimmy, I will get to you later, but that is next week.
All right. Well, look. Give us your thoughts on the way the national championship game played out. I'm not going to front. I had Auburn in the game, and the way the game started, I thought I was looking a little bit like a genius since everybody was picking Florida State to win. And then that 18-point lead got erased. And, the end of that game was really good. But what were your thoughts on how it all went down?
I have not seen a BCS title game that good since 2005. Vince Young and the Texas Longhorns actually coincidentally beating at the end of the game, going right down the field against USC, the greatest team we've ever seen. How many times have we heard that? In USC with the Reggie Bush and Lindell White and Steve Smith and Matt Leinart, that other quarterback that wasn't all that great in the NFL. But that team full of talent, the last great Pete Carroll coached team. I have not seen a national title game that good with that many star players on the field. That game had you always have a winner and a loser, but truly the fans won in that game because you got to see
the neutral
quarterback
fans,
and
FSU fans.
And I think, and as I said in the game last week, I said it would be a massive blowout, and then I kind of retracted a little bit, and after I kind of looked over some things,
Yeah, you flip flop.
I said Florida State win the game 28-24. No national championship game is really a blowout, really. Especially when you have these teams with good defenses. Auburn had 3.5 weeks to, really essentially 4 weeks to really look at this Florida State team and see how to beat them. And I've said all season, Florida State, their offensive line is very good, but up the middle is they're not all that great up the middle. Brian Stork, their center, is a little soft up front, and Jameis Winston doesn't handle pressure, and that's something as a freshman, I expect that. I actually saw it throughout the season between the Pitt game to start the season. Even though they blew them out, you could see, that's his first game, but you could see it a little bit against Florida with a bunch of backups. Florida State still, you kind of saw a couple of chinks in the armor. It was a very good game. I really like what I saw from Auburn. And Nick Marshall's coming back, so it's not like there's going to be a change of the guard in the SEC to the ACC. I will say the ACC is not as bad as everyone makes them out to be. They put out the second most amount of draft picks in the last couple of years behind the SEC, and it's not by a large margin. If I remember the stat correctly, it was 36 for the SEC last year and 31 for the ACC. The ACC collectively as a group, when you start talking about Duke and Georgia Tech and Syracuse and these type of teams.
Oh, God, here we go. Come on, man. Stop it, Fresh. Stop it, man. We know that it's a difference. It's a difference.
When you see a Florida State win a national title, you see a Clemson win in the Orange Bowl, the big bowl games. Yes, Miami did not win against Louisville, which was expected. But then you get Louisville coming into the ACC, and you can kind of transition into into Charlie Strong there, leaving Louisville going to Texas. You still have talent there, and with Bobby Petrino coming back, Bobby Petrino had a 43-9 record at Louisville at his time there, and that was a very good team when he was there. And if he can recreate that magic, a guy that has produced many a great college quarterbacks, that Louisville team the cupboard is not bare. And I think that Louisville team will add some depth. You have North Carolina. You have some depth in there. Granted, the SEC is still the best conference, top to bottom, but there is a changing of the guard as far as how the SEC will be run. I think Alabama slowly, and it's very small. Don't get me take this out of context or anything, but I think Alabama's slowly getting passed over because simply you can have the best linemen, you can have the best running game, the best defense,
but these up-tempo offenses are wearing out these 300-pound linemen, and that is where the SEC really was dominant up front, offensive and defensive line play. Well, the way you mitigate that, you run these up-tempo spread offenses like Auburn did. And when you see Auburn running these offenses, you can see Tim Jernigan, their best player on defense, and he really was that good. He was throwing up on the sidelines, and he had the flu. If anyone did not see him on the sidelines at the end of the game, gassed, he was sick. So to play that well and still be sick and not fall out until the fourth quarter, those 300-pound linemen are not going to be able to handle that up-tempo shot.
No, we shall see. All right, well, let's take it to the whole Charlie Strong hiring, because we've witnessed some conversations, even joined in a few, about the reaction from their boosters, most notably Red McCombs. So, you know, with Red McCombs and some of the other boosters not really backing this pick, saying that it's a kick in the face, a lot of black people are screaming racism. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, okay, I'm going to ask you guys 2 questions. Do you want my politically correct answer, or would you like my very honest answer?
We don't believe
in politically correct on this show.
Okay, well, we're going with the very honest answer. Yes, I think it is a bit with Texas. You have a school in Texas that they are not used to a man of color coming in and taking over their football program. And you can look at any Texas school. You can look at Texas Tech, Texas, Baylor. Texas Tech actually had a interim coach in Ruffin McNeil who actually came in after Mike Leach was let go.
Well, listen. Wait a minute. Listen, let me stop you. Let me stop you, because we all know about the state of Texas. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
we all know
I don't
about
even go to
Texas politics in the schools. But specifically,
I've been pulled
Red
over
McCombs.
in the state of Texas.
Specifically, Red McCombs. Do you think his comments and his anger, do you think that is racially motivated? But do you think his comments are racially motivated?
It's very hard to judge, but to say that he is a position coach, to say that he is just a coordinator, when he did go on and win a national title with Florida and put together some great defenses at Florida, but to go on to Louisville, defeat his former team in Florida, who had those same great players, with a quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater that he came into Florida, got out of South Florida, brought him back to Louisville, developed him into the number 1 overall pick, more than likely. That is the face to Charlie Strong himself. I've actually had a chance to meet Charlie Strong, and he's a very passionate guy about what he does. He cares about his players. And I just have to say, I really believe this is the right hire. But because Mack Brown brought so much success in, because of the racial situations in Texas, that is going to be an issue. And ultimately, I think if he does not win immediately, that will give them pause to possibly let him go. If they give him time, and I mean a full 3 to 4 years to win at Texas, I think he can be very successful, because you get the ability to recruit in Texas, but also he has his connections in Florida, where he can recruit the 2 best states for college football.
Here's the thing.
What do you think about that,
Here's my take. And I definitely believe that Red McCombs made a statement that is very uncomfortable for a lot of people in a country with a history.
Yes,
very disrespectful. We can clear the air. I don't care if he was white, if Charlie Strong, white, black, Martian, or from Jupiter. It was a very disrespectful comment with the history and the credibility that he's established. I did a little research on Red McCombs, did a little research on his background. I have a hard time feeling as though this was racially motivated. One thing that has to be understood, Red McCombs is the largest booster in a crowd of 8 and 9 figure people. So Red McCombs is, and some of them even 10 figure. I mean, Red McCombs has put $100 million of his own dollars into that university. So as a booster, what that means, and I know that, Fred, you know this, but to our listeners, what that means is he expects to be consulted on decisions such as this. He expects to hold sway and influence over these types of decisions. The current athletic director at Texas did not consult with him, did not meet with him on this decision, and his crowd of boosters already put out the candidates that they wanted to see interviewed, and they had a candidate in John Gruden that they wanted to be selected. So there's that fact. Then there's his history. Red McCombs has owned a piece of the Spurs, a piece of the Denver Nuggets, and a piece of the Vikings. At the time when he owned the Nuggets, he gave a black man, John Lucas, fresh out of rehab. Well, I don't know that he was fresh out of rehab, but his past, his history, we know John Lucas' history with the vile substance that he battled, gave him a job, no problem. They have a good relationship. When he owned the Vikings, Denny Green was the coach, and great relationship there, kept Denny Green when he bought the team, supported Denny Green, and was very, very interested in hiring Tony Dungy to actually take over for Denny Green when he was fired. So there's been a lot of things in his past at the professional level and professional ranks where we know African-American coaches don't get a shot, or a consistent shot, especially not 10, 12, 15 years ago, where Red McCombs has been instrumental in doors being broken down or barriers being broken, whether that's intentional or not. Like, he's been a supporter of African-American coaches in the past at the professional level. So I find it difficult to now look at him and say that his motivation was racial in nature. I think that he's a petulant, spoiled, hyper-wealthy guy who has put, $100 million to work as lead booster at university. He expects it to be his decision. That's my thing.
I hear all that, but at the end of the day, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. And also, let's not get it twisted. Let's not get it twisted, because if you go through Red McCombs' entire business history, this isn't the first time he's been accused of being a racist. You can point your finger to those couple, black guys, because he has two black friends. But at the end of the day, this dude is from Texas.
But don't we throw that accusation out there every 5 minutes? 5 times a day, though. Seriously.
What's that?
As black people, we racism.
We play the race
that out, and it exists.
No doubt. Absolutely. I'm not saying that the race card is overused, but at the end of the day, it's a reason that it's able to be used. At the end, this guy McCombs was born in Texas in 1927.
It's definitely a reason that it's able to be used, but a lot of people abuse that. A lot of people abuse
that.
So
I totally get that.
It's another one of those things where I'm only
devil's advocate.
disagreeing with a portion of what you said. You're saying, he's been accused before. I'm like, in this country, it ain't hard to be accused. Like,
no, I agree with that. But what I'm using that because to sit and point at Denny Green and to point at the crackhead boys, like, okay, I can give you other. Let's just take that off the table, because just as well as you can do that, I can point to other things in this man's history. But what I'm talking about is specifically.
How big
hold on. Can I speak to you, brother?
Professional coaches. Absolutely. Like, you poo-pooing that like that's not a big deal.
I'm not poo-pooing it. Let me finish my comment. My comment is, I'm pointing at these words that he said about Charlie Strong and how he said them. I actually heard what he said, and he disrespected this man in the way he was talking. He was talking down to him like the ball isn't one of the best hires and one of the hottest candidates out there in coaching. The way he talked about him, he'd be good as a position coach. He's not a head coach. Like, he was disrespecting him. So at the end of the day,
we already acknowledge
that. This goes back to the same conversation we had about A.J. McCarron's mother, in terms of you can say what you want to say, but you have to understand how it's going to be taken.
True.
That same rules apply to him.
Agree
It
with
doesn't change.
Totally
he can't feel one way about A.J. McCarron's mom and then just give him a pass because he gave the crackhead ball and Denny Green a job.
But I'm not extending him a pass. I don't know that A.J. McCarron's mom said all that with racial motivation.
Okay, but that's my point. My point is.
You said yourself that the ball sounded like foghorn, like.
No, I didn't understand what he was saying. But at the end of the day, the same rule applies. So he has to deal with the fact of people calling it racist, because it can be taken that way. It's a sensitive topic.
So what they have to deal with that applies is the fact that we can say certain stuff but other people can't because we all have the right to accuse them of something that may not have anything to do with that.
Absolutely.
You said yourself that dude, I didn't hear him.
I agree.
You said yourself that the dude couldn't speak
right
English. So why can somebody else not point out, why can she not point out that he wasn't speaking English if you can?
Because of history. That's my reparation.
I know, but
that's just
but
how
it's
I
like
feel.
it's one of those
I
things like how do we know she wouldn't have said it if it was,
if
Johnny
Manziel?
Right. How do we know
No,
she
we
wouldn't
don't
have
know
said
that. We don't know that. But the fact of the matter is, it wasn't Johnny Manziel. We don't know where her intentions were. We don't know where her heart was.
That's not her fault.
It doesn't matter.
That's not her fault.
The point you just made, I totally agree with. Because of context and history, Red McComb should be sensitive in the way he speaks. I don't expect that from an 88-year-old billionaire, but I get where you're coming from. But what I don't want to do is automatically say and assume that it was racist. Oh, he was being racist. That's why he did it or said it.
No, I totally get that. And I totally get that. I'm with you with that. I get that. But what I'm saying is, let's just not act as if it's the same conversation. Like, I can say things that, honestly, they can't say. I don't know where her heart was.
Good.
I don't know where Red McComb's heart was. But the fact of the matter is, this is where we are. We're in a position where
the only problem with that logic I have is it's not like they said something about. It's not like they said anything stereotypical. She didn't say anything about watermelon, or he didn't say anything about chicken.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Is this English?" Anybody could not be speaking English. A lot of those Southern dudes, white, black, blue, or red. No offense to my man Fred, because he's from Florida, but a lot of them Southern Alabama type dudes, they have trouble with the language.
I totally get that. But
and if I think Jay Gruden, who just got hired in Washington, if I think Jay Gruden, who just got hired in Washington, is no more than a coordinator, and I say that, nobody's gonna really get on me about that. But why? I didn't say because he's a white boy, he's no more than a coordinator.
This is where we are, and the fact of the matter is, they're paying for history, and that's just a fact. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
The same way we pay for history in other areas.
Tim, I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm just saying we don't have to accept every little thing that because it's the way it is. We don't have to accept everything. Like,
what I'm saying
sometimes there's a lot of things out there. When something is blatantly racist, I get furious. But some things, it's like, yo, he don't think the dude is the coach for the job.
And you have the right to feel that way, just as I have the right to feel that way. Like, yo, I can say, listen, this may not have been racist, but guess what? Because this is my reparations right here we talking about, yo. This is my personal reparations. I can do that. I can make
But then that makes us as bad as them because that's not just. Oh,
excuse me?
Sorry.
It makes us as bad as them because what?
It's not just.
Because of 400 years of oppression? Because of what? because of the prison industrial complex? Because of what? There's no way we can be as bad as them. There's no way we can be as bad as them, yo. I can go out and make racist statements that first off, the black man doesn't have the ability to be racist because he doesn't. No, I'm not gonna get into that. Anyway, Fred, real quick.
I
don't know why you would get into that because none of us said that. But anyway,
I know because Austin said that makes us just as bad as them, and I was getting ready to go on my tangent how we can never be as bad as them. But I'm a chill. Back to you, Fred. Something you said.
And I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
Before we got way off, getting on our soapboxes. You started bigging up the ACC and kissing their ass a little bit. And let's not get it twisted. Florida State, in my personal opinion, they won the game. It was a great game. It wasn't nowhere near as good as the Vince Young game because that was literally one of the best football games I've ever seen. But Auburn kind of blew that game. I don't want to say more than Florida State, but I think it's about 50-50 of Auburn losing versus Florida State winning. And the one thing I wanted to point out that you didn't point out,
their passing game.
There was a small play in that game that, in my personal opinion, changed the entire game, which was that fake punt.
What that play is before you tell
that fake punt. I was sitting in the house when it happened, and I said, "Yo, if they didn't convert this, they were getting ready to get blown out of the building." Auburn had all the momentum.
Florida State fake punt and gets the fake punt conversion.
that changed the entire – because they were – if not for that, they would have got ran out
They
of the
would have gotten
building.
the short field and Auburn was already rolling right back down the field.
Exactly.
There was also one other play. There were two plays. That play as well as Nick Marshall throwing an interception. Simply for the fact that with 4 minutes left, you run the football. You take your field goal. After running the football, you run another 30 to 40 seconds off simply because kicking that field goal runs an extra 5 or 6 seconds off, more than likely. So Florida State has about 3 minutes to go back down the field. Now, that may hinder you from going back down the field, but on the ensuing kickoff, you just don't know that a 100-yard kickoff is coming, and your guy's going to come up limp on it with a cramp or whatever he has at the last second before he's getting ready to flip a block. You just don't.
And Fred, that's a great point, Fred. And one thing I take from this entire weekend, from the NFL games, which we'll get to in a little bit, as well as this college game, is that in order to really judge these games, you have to watch them because there are small plays in every game which change it. People say he had 300 yards passing and his defense is ranked this, but when you watch the game, you actually realize how football is a game of inches, and there are small chess moves that are made and things that happen that change the entire complexity of the game. But it definitely was a good game. I just wanted to say that because that play was huge.
I really will say that game was number 2 on my list, at least, of some of the best national title games of the BCS era. One of the better games, and I still say, even in a loss, and I still say the refs owe us one. Miami, Ohio State would probably rank 3rd among that, even with a loss. When you have a game just that good, when you have 2 heavyweights, 2 traditional powers, I really am not that was never really that excited of seeing a Boise State or a TCU. For all the fans out there that love seeing those teams, the Cinderella story, that works in basketball. That's nice and that's cute. But in college football, you don't want to see a Florida State going up against a Boise State or someone like that simply because you know more than likely in a one-game scenario with that much talent on the field.
It would be like Alabama and Notre Dame last year.
Exactly. You would have a blowout, and best believe me, there was so much talent on that field. Florida State is returning so much of that talent. Their left tackle, Cameron Irving, could have came out and been a first-round pick. Rashad Green, their wide receiver, could have came out and possibly been a late first, early second-round pick.
Well, Fred,
you had guys
speaking
like
of coming out,
guys like that.
Because we up against the clock. So speaking of coming out, Johnny Manziel, he declared for the draft. So give us just a quick thought on whether or not you think this is the best decision and what you think he can be at the next level before we get you out of here.
I really like the decision. He's improved a lot. What I've seen on tape, I really like what he's done. Going back all the way into the spring till now, he's a much better passer, much more patient in the pocket. He's going to have to stop taking a lot of hits. But I think in the NFL he'll be a first round pick. That isn't the end all be all. I think you'll have to wait probably a year to 2 years to see if he's not injured. If he can stay out of trouble off the field, which he's not really in trouble, it's just he likes to flash his success in front of the cameras. If he can stay out of trouble and stay out of the media, I think he could be a successful quarterback with the way
late first round pick
in the NFL.
Late first round pick,
early first round pick.
Because here's the thing, I was hoping he went to New York, but I don't know what they're going to do with Geno, just for entertainment purposes.
I see him
Fred,
as a
man.
top 10 pick, maybe a top 10.
Oh wow. Listen, Fred, thanks for calling in with us again. But let me ask you a quick question. Did you see the USA Today ranking of the 16 BCS national champions?
No, I have not. I have not seen that.
I'll get that over to you. But just to let you know that your Miami Hurricanes from 2001 were considered the greatest BCS champion of the last 16 years.
All about you, baby.
but this Florida State team, surprisingly, was the number 5 team, they said, in the entire BCS era, which was kind of shocking to me because I looked at them as being good, but I didn't know they would be that good, considered that good.
It's not shocking to me. Really not shocking to me. Way too much talent, and you have a Heisman-winning quarterback.
No doubt. But I'll get the list over to you. We'll chat about it and put it on our page, facebook.com/WarRoomSports. As always, Fred, thanks for everything, man. Bad luck to your New England Patriots this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys.
All right, take it easy.
All right. Fred Purdue, everybody. Man,
in the game at Purdue Sports.
Get some b-ball real quick because
yeah,
we spent a whole lot of time talking about the national championship.
It's a great game, though. Definitely a great game, though. But let's talk some hoops real quick. Let's talk basketball. And basketball is brought to you by Fanatics. For the best in your favorite team's merchandise and apparel, shop Fanatics. Shopping Fanatics is easy. Go to warroomsports.com, look for the Fanatics logo, and you can buy some NFL, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, NCAA gear. You know what I mean? Get your gear up. That's Fanatics, right? warroomsports.com and look for the Fanatics logo. Basketball time. That's right. And as we always do, Dev, give us the NBA Players of the Week, because this is a funny one.
Surprisingly, NBA Players of the Week, Eastern Conference for my 76ers, Thaddeus Young. And from the Western Conference, from the Golden State Warriors, you got David Lee. Thaddeus Young and the Sixers went 3-0 last week. All three of those wins came on the road. He averaged 25 points per game, 56% shooting from the field, 7.7 rebounds, and he was tied for the league lead with 3.6 steals per game. David Lee averaged 24.5 points, 10.5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists, and the Golden State Warriors went 4-0. They were in the midst of a 10-0 streak until the Brooklyn Nets broke that streak the other night.
Anyway.
So those are your NBA Players of the Week. Thaddeus Young, I'm assuming this is his first one ever, but you never know the way they get this. But shout out to those guys.
Yo,
shout out to those guys for a great week.
At times they be reaching like, yo, we can't keep giving it to the same guys. We got to find some way to. It's sort of like if you're in school and you're a teacher, you want to acknowledge somebody else to make them feel better about themselves, yo. But David Lee is balling out. Thaddeus Young had a great week, so shout out to them.
No doubt.
We talked about the NBA, right, and their business practices and how it's a successful business and yada, yada, yada. But do you guys remember that, the Silma brothers, who had that crazy contract when they owned the old St. Louis ABA franchise, and they got like a piece of everything every year for the rest of them lives to perpetuity? Well, the NBA has found a way to get out of that. $500 million. And this is considered like one of the greatest business deals ever. But the NBA is going to get out of a $500 million. Let me ask you guys a question. Would you have settled for $500 million?
At this point, I'm like, why not? These guys are older. You can just get your lump sum, leave what you got to leave to your family when that time comes. But, yeah, they've made the greatest deal of all time. Because if you remember, the St. Louis Spirits weren't included in that merger. So, these guys made that deal, and ever since 1976, they've been receiving portions of the NBA's television rights, and it's already added up to $300 million. So then you add this $500 million that they're going to pay them up front, and they're almost in the NBA's pocket since 1976 for a cool $1 billion. So I would settle it at this point.
This is amazing, especially because they're older guys. Like, if I was them, I definitely would have taken this deal, and I would spend it all on like wine, women, and just all out fornication and fun.
Yeah.
I would go off with a blast.
They're getting an extra, because it's not just that. Because remember, we just talked about the $300 that they already got. They're getting an extra $500 million just to go away. Like, the NBA is just tired of these dudes being in their pocket every year. They probably know their TV contract's about to get stronger. So they're like, look, we can't, keep letting these dudes
you know what I would have done?
from the franchise that never played in the NBA.
Yeah, I would have Gordon Gekko'd that. I would have sold my rights to that deal to somebody else for like $2 billion. I'd be like, look, give me $2 billion. I'll let you go.
To a younger person, and they never settle.
Cuban. Mark Cuban, like, yo, give me $2 billion. You can take this. You know what I mean? But anyway, man, that's just a little story real quick. That was a good one. Kobe Bean Bryant. Kobe Bean.
Wait a minute, Jim. One last thing. Also, a part of their deal back then was that they would be paid for any Spirits players drafted by NBA teams. So back in '76, when that all happened, they got $2.2 million just from players from their team getting drafted. So they stuck the NBA up, and I love it. I love it.
The funny thing about that deal, that buyout, is it's not a complete buyout, and they won't disclose the percentage that's left. So when they get to $500 million, they still would have a percentage of the revenues, and the NBA retains the right to buy them out fully. So these guys could get a $500 million lump sum and still be getting checks.
Yeah, so they're lowering the percentage basically.
Yeah.
I love any deal. I love any
Amazing
deal that's in perpetuity. It's a nice word.
Yeah, that's kind of like one of them college joints where they be like, we got the rights to your likeness in perpetuity as long as you
And
exist.
the college kids don't know what it means, so they sign it anyway.
Yo, real quick, Kobe Bean Bryant says he doesn't want fans to vote him into the All-Star game. He just wants to sit home and watch it or come and watch it. He says he doesn't want to play, and he wants to give the young guys a shot. So shout to Kobe for that.
Classy.
It could be considered classy or lazy. Kobe just don't want to play. But anyway.
I think it's honorable just because we always rag on the voting process, and we don't like when dudes actually play in the All-Star game when they haven't played all season. So whatever his motives are, because it might not be class, whatever his motives are, I dig it because I don't want to see Kobe in the All-Star game because he played 6 games and he didn't do jack bean while he was out there in those 6 games, so he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, he looked terrible, yo. He looked like Father Time is in his back pocket. Andrew Bynum.
Father Achilles.
Father Achilles Time. Andrew Bynum was traded, then waived, and now coveted by 8 different teams. Bottom line is he was traded for cap space for the Bulls. The Bulls wanted the cap space of picking him up and getting rid of him. But my question is, he has 8
This is a funny situation, and as you listen to the air and
great
and
to be a
7-footer, it's kind of like the fans are ragging him, and we rag him. I mean, we let him have it for being Frederick Douglass, for being drawn, for smanging people's wives. I mean, any number of things, for bowling, for his gear. We could go on and on and on. But if you recall what a healthy Andrew Bynum looks like on a basketball court, yo, dude is a top 3 center in the league, to me. So I'm not surprised at all that teams are seriously considering him because at his age, they feel if they can turn the tide and get him reasonably healthy, they have an asset because you're not going to sign him for much more than $1 million a season.
He's well worth what he's going to get after he clears waivers. He's definitely.
I mean, that's just the dude wants to play because he's a mental case, man. He may just get paid again and just not play. Like you never know with this guy. That's the thing. I mean, it's like it's risk reward, man.
That's what he also needed to add, Jimmy. He needed to add that a healthy and motivated. Not just healthy. He needs to be motivated.
Exactly.
But speaking about the trade, though, I like the trade from the Chicago Bulls standpoint. A lot of people felt, that it was stupid when it happened, but fans don't like to dig into the meat of everything and see exactly what things are hitting for. But I see the Chicago Bulls doing one of those rebuilds, but not having to completely gut their roster to rebuild, because we all know how Derrick Rose reacted to being in a rebuilding situation. Now, trading Luol Deng, he's a 2-time All-Star, but I don't think he got the respect from Chicago Bulls fans that he deserved in the first place. So, they can't go around crying now because he's gone. With this move, not having to pay his an almost $14.5 million salary, the rest of it for this season, and trading for Bynum and getting him off the books, clearing up another 12, they're saving in the long run over $20 million in salary, and they're getting under the luxury tax threshold, which they were already in. So once the season starts next year, they can go out and try to lure a quality free agent to come in and play with Derrick Rose.
No!
They'll probably get some more money once they get rid of like a Carlos Boozer's contract. I think the Bulls did really good for themselves. I think it's going to be one of those rebuilds where they can stay competitive while they're rebuilding. Maybe not
rebuild on the run.
They're not going to compete. They're not going to contend this year, and it'll be questionable next year depending on Derrick Rose's health coming off of these injuries.
I see them getting rid of everybody. I think I think the new wave in the NBA is going to be like, yo, they're going, because I think that, in my personal opinion, Thibodeau is one of the best coaches I've seen in a long time. So I think they're going to trade him too for some picks. Yo, that's the new wave in the NBA. You get picks for your coach. So I think they're going to blow it all up. I think it was the right move.
Oh yeah, not to mention Jimmy's right. They got 3 picks also in the deal.
Exactly.
So. Yeah. I mean, I think even if they let a lot of players go, I think they're going to have a lot of flexibility and enough money to stay good as long as the team chemistry comes fairly quickly. I mean, we see how, the Nets started out, people who get some free agents and you think, okay, this is going to be tough, or they get some trades, and they're going to be a tough team, and then, the chemistry isn't there right away and they struggle. But I think the Bulls will ultimately end up getting the talent next season. It's going to be all about chemistry. So,
and in terms of Bynum, I want to see where he ends up. Everybody's afraid of him going to the Heat, but
out of the 8 teams, he's kind of narrowed it down to the Heat and the Clippers. So one of these title contenders are going to end up getting him, and he's probably going to be. That's where he's going to get that motivation that we just talked about.
And he was fitting with either one of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Heat probably need him the most. Everybody talks about Indiana and their size, and this will just make that series a little bit more easy for the Miami Heat. On the other side of the coin, though, what did you guys think about Cleveland? Because my thing with the Cavaliers is, okay, you got Dang, but he's in the last year of his contract. And there's no guarantee that he's going to re-sign there. And I'm thinking say he doesn't. You're thinking, okay, Cleveland's still going to have some cap space because they're going to have $14 million more off of their books. But Cleveland isn't Miami. Cleveland isn't Chicago. There's no telling that they're going to lure a good – they're not going to attract great free agents. So Cleveland with money –
Shout out to Joakim Noah.
Yeah, it probably just doesn't matter, Cleveland with money.
Who vacations in Cleveland, though? Like, who wants to go to Cleveland for anything, y'all?
Cleveland rocks.
Teams like that have to end up overpaying somebody. That's what happens. You end up overpaying, like, a mid to bottom tier free agent because you got to spend your money somewhere, and you end up
You're gonna max out Nicholas Batum or something.
My man Nick Batum gonna get like 4 years, $50 million. That's what happens there, man.
So even though cap space is gold in the NBA, I only think cap space is gold when you're in a market, where it's attractive, because we know how players are these days, man. Like Jimmy said, they're going to end up overpaying for somebody who may have talent, but not going to have that superstar impact, like a Rudy Gay type.
That flow shit about to get like $60 million, yo.
Yo, you can't see them getting my man Gordon Hayward.
They're going to put a mural up on the building like he LeBron. See, but that's the thing, though. We joking. It's going to be one of them type of players getting paid just because Cleveland can't lure people back unless LeBron come back and take that money.
Yeah, they still can't lure nobody. They don't want to play in Cleveland, yo. The NBA, listen, man, the NBA is built for big cities unless you are just masterful at working the draft like the Spurs and the Pacers, because they built their team through the draft.
Yo, the Spurs built their team through Africa.
Yeah, they built their team through the draft, and they built their team through the draft and through the slave trade. They just go pick up cats from foreign soil and bring them back over. You know what I'm saying? They give their family some cattle in a couple hours.
They go to Arabia and Iran and whatever happened to the Grenchmen.
That's how they had to build their team. You know what I'm saying? They figured out a way to stay competitive. Because, what's the last big name free agent that went to the Spurs? Exactly. That's exactly my point. But they found a way to stay competitive. They had to think outside the box.
The last big name free agent was Richard Jefferson, except he ain't a big name.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. They found a way. They thought outside the box and found a way to stay competitive in the market. And I mean, look at the Pacers drafting has been like masterful in terms of building an organization and a team. So that's the only way.
The Pacers are my favorite. I think they might be my favorite team based on Larry Bird, his draft. Sixers fans, don't shoot at me. I'm Sixers for life. But just appreciating what the Pacers front office
has done. They had to
build
that way. They had to build that way.
Sixers fans understand. You're talking about real teams right now.
Yo, my man Michael Carter Williams putting up 33 pieces.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is they did a masterful job there in Indiana, man. That's the only way they were going to build that franchise is through the draft, and they did that. Now, when you look at Cleveland, on the other hand, what happened to the boy they picked at one?
Yo, they trying. Deion Waiters, Tristan Thompson.
The boy that scored like 4 points in the first 3 months.
That number one draft.
The boy that I picked. The boy I picked for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, that boy. That's what I'm saying. Like they haven't been doing the same job.
He got traded to the Iowa Energy.
They haven't done a masterful job. Put it that way. They've had their opportunities in the draft. Kyrie was a can't miss, but outside of that, they really didn't do a great job of building through the draft. I mean,
what you don't like? No, Deion Waiters, man.
No, Deion Waiters doesn't fit in there.
I'd have traded that boy to the hot dog concession up in the concourse.
Then you hire Mike Brown. Anyway, man.
But you wouldn't even want it to. Never mind.
Yo, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets. 4-game winning streak. Are they turning it around?
I see Andre Black giving dudes the crossover, the step across, the step back.
Hands up.
No, but I just mentioned them a few minutes ago because they broke the winning streak of what was the hottest team in the league, the Golden State Warriors. They're on a 4-game streak of their own. I mean,
yep.
You said you wouldn't say what, Bill?
They're in the East, so they definitely have a chance of getting even a decent playoff seeding. But the problem with them is it's taking time to build the chemistry. As Jimmy talked about, chemistry is necessary to get wins. The talent is there. The talent is there for them to be a decent squad, even if the age is. I mean, obviously, a lot of them dudes falling off due to age. I could see them in 1 to 2 years being a solid playoff team. But the problem is a lot of them dudes may not even be alive in terms of a basketball career in 1 to 2 years.
That's what I was about to ask you when you said that. I'm like, how'd that work?
In 1 to 2 years,
this team is built for now.
Gonna be playing.
This team is built for now.
Paul Pierce is going to be playing, but he's just going to be holding on. And
but that's the thing. Garnett probably will be playing. He probably won't retire until like after Damian Lillard retires. Like that's why Garnett, like people forget what he was because he's sticking around for too long. But right now Brooklyn is in the 8th seed. They have the 8th seed. They're 14-21 on a 4-game winning streak. So you never. I mean, we all knew that they were going to be in the top 8. We all knew that. I don't think anybody disagreed with that. But they just came out of the gate so terribly, man. You just didn't expect it. Even with a rookie coach, you just didn't expect that. So we'll see where it goes from here.
The East is putrid, yo. They are terrible.
My man Joe Johnson
teams,
is hitting big game winners.
This streak started against Oklahoma City, and then they beat Cleveland, Atlanta, and Golden State. So like you guys said, because of the East, the bulk of their games are going to be in the Eastern Conference. They're going to turn it around. They'll be in the middle of the pack at least once the playoffs start. I'm not worried about that. It's just that can they beat a good team when the playoffs start?
This is an impressive streak considering who they played. I mean, and it also proves that everything was Lawrence Frank's fault. So now that he's out the picture, they're going to start,
It also
Toronto. Oh, go ahead.
Toronto is the 4th seed, and they're 17-17. So they'll be
come on, man. How you gonna be the 4th seed at 17-17 though?
They move
16-17.
This is why #J.R. Smith is needed, yo, because you're 17-17 and you're the 4th seed, yo. So we need the ratchetness to keep the NBA exciting to watch, yo. Because oh my God.
Go ahead, be awesome. Finish this off, man, so we can talk.
They moved
some divisional playoffs.
Just some last on the Brooklyn Nets. An interesting development. They've moved into playing a lot of small ball. So they moved Duran to the 2, Joe up to the 3 and Paul Pierce to the 4, and it's working.
Yeah.
And
before
Darren Williams didn't even play the last game, so maybe they better without him. I'm bad to say.
Yeah. Before we move on, I just want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to my man Andre Miller. Yo, Andre Miller is literally one of my top 5 players of all time because just like you, he's unathletic and he found a way to get it done. My man can't jump over a pencil, yet he has scored 50 points in an NBA game without having the ability to shoot, without being athletic.
And then chewed gum and acted like it's an everyday occurrence. Like what
he got less talent than the 5'3", 136 pounds Muggsy Bogues.
Yo, Andre Miller is he's one of the least talented players in the league. Yet he's one of the most productive and efficient. My man has what's he been in the league, like 10, 12 years at this point?
Like 14. He's
14,
been around like
14 years in the league without having any skills and without having any athletic ability, but having brains, yo. Andre Miller is definitely one of my top 5 players, and he's going through some troubles right now in Denver, yo. So free Andre Miller.
He tried to beat up Brian Shaw.
Free Andre Miller, man. That's all I got to say real quick, gentlemen. Before we jump into football, though, tell everybody how to get in contact with us real quick.
All right, y'all can check out our website at warroomsports.com to call in and speak with us about any of today's topic. Dial the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you would like to talk. Well, we're about to talk about the NFL divisional round. The playoffs are heating up. But before we do that, of course we got to tell you guys that you can now hear our show, The War Room, on Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher allows you to listen to your favorite shows directly from your computer, your iPhone, your Android phone, BlackBerry, Palm phones, tablets, iPads, whatever you got. The latest episode is always available for you. No syncing needed, no memory or storage wasted. Downloading is easy. Just click on the Stitcher logo on our website and listen, or download to your mobile phone directly from that page. But before you do, make sure you enter the promo code, The War Room, all one word, for a chance to win lots and lots of money. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio. All right. Before we get into the playoffs, there was breaking news earlier today when Washington announced that Bengals offensive coordinator Jay Gruden, brother of John, will be the team's new head coach going forward. He got a 5-year deal. I'm still not sure if the terms of that deal have been released yet. But what do you guys think about this hire? Do you think it's a good hire for the Redskins for the Washington professional football team?
I think that no matter what no matter who you hire, no matter what you do, you're still dealing with a meddlesome, ignorant Daniel Snyder. You're dealing with a drunkard and Bruce Allen, who's kind of more of a yes man now. And the fact that they've made some terrible decisions over the last 4 to 5 years. So
5 to 20 years?
You're suffering. 5 to 20 years, you're right. So
you've got 5 to 20?
You've got on defense, you got him running a 3-4, and Hazlitt is a 4-3 coordinator, and actually a decent one at that. He's stuck with a talentless defense running a system he hates. You got virtually some talent on offense, but as we like to tell folks, it's all about the hogs. It's all about your linemen, and their O-line is putrid, and their D-line does not get there. So I don't know, and they gave every draft pick they ever had in life, past, present, and future, up to get a scampering quarterback who can't read and is haughty. So I mean, you're Jay Gruden. How do you fix that? How do you fix that? The fans are going to want immediate success. You're a big name. You're a reasonably big name hire. I think this is going to be a tough journey because of the draft pick situation.
That was the first question you had. How does he fix that? I think he fixes that with patience from his owner, from his fan base. But like you've alluded to, you didn't say it correctly.
When have they been patient?
Exactly. Like,
Ever.
Is he going to get that patience from these guys? It seems like Daniel Snyder is always in the mindset, and falsely so, he's always in the mindset that they're a year away. They're a few pieces away. So when a new coach is hired, he only gets a few years to improve the situation, and then they're ready to look for the next coach. Now you're hiring a rookie head coach, coming from a situation where you had a two-time Super Bowl winning coach who only won more than 6 games won out of his 3 or 4 years with the team. You have to have some patience and let this guy build the program, the way he wants to build the program. If the meddling is going to continue, and you're telling this guy, who he's to hire, who he's to fire, stuff like that, it's never going to work that way. So, they keep saying it every time they get a new coach, that the coach has the power, the coach has final say, but we see that it still hasn't been the case. And I don't see why it would be the case in this case, because now you have a coach who really doesn't have that much of a resume. He doesn't, he hasn't earned that kind of respect to say that he runs the program. And he's already been in the press conference saying, all the decisions are going to be made by a lot of people. We might not always agree, but everybody has the best interest of the team in mind.
Started already.
This is what he says. So he already knows his role, but you can't blame him because it's the first shot he's got at it. Yeah, it's the first shot that he's got at being a head coach. So, you take it however you can get it, because he probably knows he hasn't earned that respect yet. But I still see it as a difficult situation if you're not going to have that power.
Can I be honest with that information? With that information given, Dev, you know what this was? They probably reached out to some serious head coaches, some big names, because you know how Snyder likes names. Those guys was like, are you going to give me the keys and the wheel and get the hell out of the car? He was like, no. And Jay Gruden was like, yo, this is a come up. They're going to pay me about $5 million a year. I don't care if Dan Snyder comes down and coaches. I'll sit in the trunk and let my man Dan Snyder run this into the ground. And by year 3, my bank account is going to be like $15 million. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah, so I can't really answer the question that's going around. Is it a good hire? It has the potential to be just like every other hire, but we don't really know what he's going to bring to the table.
He's a good offensive mind. He's a good offensive mind. He's a great play
designer. He comes from the Gruden tree, so. And he was a good quarterback himself in college and in the Arena League, so he should be able to work with young Robert and
not
maybe
as good as Palacio.
Maybe he could teach him how to throw them 7 interceptions Andy Dalton threw in the last 2 weeks. He was the coordinator there, so it is what it is, man. I hope he fails.
Yeah, and that's what
my whole contribution to my contribution to this whole conversation is, I hope he fails. The Cornball brother is pulling rank, saying it's his hire. That's who he wanted. So who cares? They stink.
Yeah.
At any rate.
All right, let's talk about these matchups coming up, man. We got 4 more games this weekend. We had a really good wild card round, minus the Cincinnati Bengals, of course.
Jay Gruden
choke jobs. All right, so let's talk about let's take the games in order, because it's going to be another Saturday Sunday tilt. The Saints versus the Seahawks. Now, this is a rematch from a game earlier in the season that the Seahawks dominated. The Saints, I don't know if they even look that impressive in their win in Philly this weekend, besides the fact that they did run the ball for 185 yards. The Seahawks, are a whole different beast defensively. So they won't be able to just control a game, control the clock offensively against a defense like Seattle, like they did against Philly with the running game. So how do you guys see this going down? First, before we even talk about that, I know you guys have heard about Marshawn Lynch. He got fined by the league for not making himself available to the media, and the fans, the 12th man, started a fundraiser to pay this man's fine for him. I think people are starting to go too far with these athletes, man, for real.
Yo.
We buying wedding
crazy
gifts. We paying fines. We suing
It's funny,
the
man.
league because they didn't make the
People have no
playoffs.
dads, man. Have no dads.
Yo, it's funny,
Yeah.
but it's like these communities get so involved with their teams, yo. But meanwhile, they don't take the same passion to things that really matter. You know what I'm saying? Like,
kids.
yo,
There ain't no dads.
yo, the kids are terrible, man. Like, I don't even want to get into that, man. Like, yo, but they take this passion to their sports. Like, this shows just how important sports are in certain people's lives, because I mean, they're buying like wedding gifts and paying fines, and next thing you know, they're gonna be paying like bailing cats out for DUI and whatnot. Like, you can let the fans do.
Yeah, this is a $50,000 fine that they're banding together to pay. And remember, this is already after they, they've done fundraisers to put billboards in other people's cities. Of course, San Francisco got them back on the whole billboard tip. But this is the kind of stuff that they're doing.
The Seahawks are out of control. Dev, you saw how Seattle supports that soccer team, right?
Mm-hmm.
People in Seattle, like, yo, they need somebody to believe in. Yo, they need like a stadium.
They need a
I got a lot of
town daddy.
I got a lot of respect for the Legion of Boom, their secondary, particularly their leader, Richard Sherman. But this story makes me this story makes me root for the Saints all that much more, just because, yo, you're taking out the fact that your whole city needs a dad, and you're putting it on the. I mean, come on, yo, y'all need a dad, man.
That's what it is, man.
Yeah.
They are the reason. They are the reason why it's easy to get yams these days. There's so many fathers leaving, and like, yo, there's so many. No, I'm quiet. But
I know you're getting out of your house.
The Ketery is not tolerated in the war room. All right, about the game. Let's go to the game. Like I said, they had a prior matchup this season. Seattle basically dominated the Saints. How do you guys see this playing out? And, what are the keys to make it play out in the favor of each team?
Well, I mean, Seattle obviously is the more physical team. They have the home field advantage. I think if they can run the ball, and this is going to sound so cliche, if they can run the ball and stop the Saints from running the ball, because the Saints actually came out, and shout out to the Saints, because their coach just called a masterful game. He proved that he's worth every penny, considering where they were last year without him, and now they're in the second round of the playoffs. And, the way they ran the ball last week, I haven't seen the Saints run the ball like that since Deuce McAllister was back there. But with all that being said, like you mentioned, you already said it, Seattle's a different animal. They are not about that life. So if Seattle's able to control the tempo that way, and I think that they can get a win by double digits. Now, not that I'm discounting the Saints, but Seattle's a tough out in their home, and they're a very physical team. And this is right now in the playoffs. This is when teams like that actually show up. Teams that play the way they play.
Yeah, I mean that regular season contest was 34-7. You generally don't see anybody holding the New Orleans Saints to 7 points. Now, I don't see it being a repeat of that. Of course, it's the playoffs. More time is going to be put into this game plan. It's going to be analyzed and overanalyzed. So, there's going to be a little bit more success from the New Orleans side. But how much can they do with this defense? Like, even against Philly, Drew Brees didn't have a quote-unquote Drew Brees-like game. He had 2 interceptions in the game, and the running game and actually controlling the clock and moving the sticks on the ground is what led them to that win last week. So
absolutely,
you need Drew Brees to step up and be Drew Brees in order to give this team any type of a contest.
Gentlemen, I'm listening to you, and here's what it really boils down to. And I don't want to take anything away from Sean Payton, who is a great coach. and Drew Brees, who, in my opinion, is a top 4 quarterback in the world. But they played the Philadelphia Eagles defense, the team that I root for, and there was no masterful game plan needed. They brought in 2 okay running backs, and they just said, you remember the guy Deuce? Well, these 2 running backs, they're your dad too now. And so in the second half, they just daddied us up and down the field and played ball control, and they actually ran the ball 36 times to 32 passes. And as you said, Drew Brees did not play a good game, but he made great decisions. And Drew is one of those quarterbacks who calls his own plays at the line. They send in a play package based on the down and distance of situation, and he chooses the plays that he calls. And he said, I'm not really feeling like throwing. These guys aren't that physical up front. They're not good. We're just going to have our free agent running back, and it's cold. Our free agent running back, Patterson, just lean on him up and down the field. And so they just linked on us, and that was that. Seattle is not going to go quietly into the night.
Right. Now, this first matchup against Seattle, Drew Brees was 23 for 38, 147 yards and a touchdown. Like, those sound like those numbers don't sound like Drew Brees numbers.
Sound like cornball brother. They sound like cornball brother numbers.
I mean, that's the one thing that me and you
I was trying to lead you
disagree. Like, I think that their coach did call a masterful game, even though you're saying it wasn't needed because you want to disrespect your squad. But I mean, fact of the matter is,
you think our defense is good?
Because Bill Davis wanted to take away Drew Brees.
About that,
so Sean Payton, he basically said, okay, you're going to take that away. We're going to do something else, and it was effective. So,
absolutely. I mean, you don't have to be playing like an all-star defense to call a masterful game. End of the day, it was necessary to win the game.
You mean all-star offense? Playing like an all-star offense?
No, you don't have to be playing against an all-star defense.
Against an all-star defense.
Yeah, just because you say the Eagles aren't that good, doesn't mean that like he didn't do a masterful job with his play call.
We got a no-star defense.
I don't know. They about to. My man got. Rihanna. So
no. He's the lone bright spot in the front seven. D'Amico Ryan's balled a little bit this year. Trent Cole, he got hot for a couple games, but I think that Michael Kendrick. That's a whole nother time.
All right, they lost though.
Seattle
they lost. Let's move on.
Seattle is here, and they're not having it. They're not having it. So Drew Brees and the boys they'll be exiting stage left.
Okay.
They'll be exiting.
Me, I think my whole thing during the season was like, if Seattle could get this home field advantage throughout the playoffs, then I might have to start believing that hype, that preseason hype that they were going to the Super Bowl. I want to say that Sean Payton and Drew Brees are too good and too prideful to come in here and let this team beat them again. But the fact that it was 34-7 the last time, and the fact that, outside of the surprising running game, they didn't impress me that much last week. It's hard for me to pick the Saints. I want to pick the Saints because I think it's going to be difficult for any team to beat the Saints, twice in a season. But I'm going to go with Seattle. Have them move on. But I think the game is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think it's going to be.
And by the way,
I'm
also picking Seattle because that was my preseason Super Bowl team.
Yeah, I got to pick him regardless.
Earl Thomas is trying to commit suicide via football. Because if y'all ever seen him, he just runs down and tries to kill himself. So he's not having it, as far as running backs coming through that hole. He's going to run down and try and die several times.
All right, well, we got the Colts and the Patriots. We all saw what the Colts did last week, being down 28 points in the third quarter, coming back against the Chiefs to win 45-44. Andrew Luck, who struggled a little bit in the beginning of the game, throwing 3 interceptions, came back. He led his team back masterfully. Everybody's kind of thinking that game will be, that first game that ends up defining his legacy when it's all said and done. So we're going to go ahead and call that the legacy starter. Like, what do you guys think Like, do you think anything from that game will transfer over to this matchup against the Patriots? Do the Colts have a shot at this one in Foxborough?
Absolutely.
Do they have a shot?
I definitely think that from a talent perspective, the Colts are a more talented team.
Where?
But I don't like betting against Brady.
Where?
Brady. Defensively,
their line isn't great.
I think. Well, you're talking about offense?
They gave 45 points to the Chiefs. They stink defensively. I think this is. I think Luck and T.Y. Hilton. I mean, they've gotten so desperate that they signed Deion Branch this week. I'm not sure if he'll even see the field. I'm hoping they're not going to think that's going to help them strategically against the Patriots because, what's he going to do? But I don't know. The Patriots don't have those big names that we're used to.
I definitely don't know
I
where
don't
they're
see
more
the
talented.
Colts. Yeah, I don't see the Colts being a more talented team. I think. Remember how I started to doubt the Colts a little bit as the season went on, and that even showed up in the first half of that game. I'm like, well, this is kind of what I expect. I didn't expect them to be getting blown out, but I expected them to struggle and lose that game. Actually, I don't think talent is what made them prevail, man. I just think that was one of those situations where there was a few players on the team who helped will that team to a victory, most notably the quarterback. But, I'm not going to say he did it by himself, but I think by the way of talent, I think the Colts have a long way to go.
I think, honestly...
So maybe this is me complimenting Andrew Luck, but I don't see a lot of talent on that team.
All right, I'll be very brief with this. I think it was more of the Chiefs losing the game than the Colts even winning that game, to be honest with you. All you have to do is basically pass interfere or just stop T.Y. Hilton. The little checkdowns he was throwing to that tight end dude wasn't going to get the game, wasn't going to get it done. Yet somehow you let T.Y. Hilton keep getting behind you. I have no clue what Andy Reid was doing. His clock management was terrible. I think overall Dev is right. The Colts aren't that good. I think that when Reggie Wayne went down, we saw just what he meant to that entire team. But the thing is, with all that being said, I think they have a shot because anytime you have this is a quarterback's league. And when you have a good quarterback, you always have a shot. You're always going to have a shot. And with that being said, it's not this isn't the best Patriots team we've seen. So they will have a shot. Whether they will win or not, I hope so. Because I don't want to play the Patriots in the AFC Championship. Because I'm hoping.
Now you guys know, you guys know that I would rather see the Colts win. I can even go as far as saying I'm pulling for the Colts. But this is Belichick time. This is where he got his reputation. He saw what T.Y. Hilton did last week. He saw what Andrew Luck did last week.
T.Y. Hilton T.Y. Hilton's not.
No, Jimmy. I'm only saying because I don't believe in all that quote unquote genius stuff. But what he is good at is taking away the main thing of what you want to do. So the Colts are gonna have to find something else somewhere else to get their success if they're gonna win this game. I think he will do a lot to take away, his best weapon right now. But no, I feel you. The whole thing being overrated.
Yeah, I just think that whole thing is overrated. I mean, he's sort of like like the thing we talked about earlier. He's like Barry Bonds, but before, because ever since they pulled his card, he really ain't been that. But anyway, we got some stuff to get to. So
they're still competitive. They've still been to some.
He's very
Super Bowls and some
he's definitely
AFC championships.
Listen, he's one of the top coaches in the history of the game. But that whole thing with him being clutch and his playoff is his time, I think that's kind of out of control a little bit. But he still is one of the best coaches to ever coach football.
I think defensively he's going to take away certain things, but that doesn't mean that the Colts won't be successful doing another thing. Just like the Eagles tried to take away Drew Brees, and then something else happened. So he could still get cracked.
Right.
T.Y. just won't be a part of it. What's your pick on this
one? My pick is the Colts. I'm gonna ride the wave of the Colts. I like the Colts secondary. I I like the Colts secondary versus the receivers. I just do.
You're a secondary dude. What are you looking at with this team where you like your secondary stinks? It's beat up.
I can't call my grandma. Maybe I'm biased towards Antoine Bethea.
You know it's 2013 though, right?
14 now.
14 now, yeah, 2014
now. We're going to let
you
finish your prediction because we only got like 2 minutes to do the other game.
So. I'm going with the Colts. Go ahead, Jimmy.
we killing anybody doing this pick. But
my bad, Joe.
All right, so 49ers and Panthers. Of course, this they played earlier in the season as well. First playoff game for Cam Newton. They beat the 49ers earlier in the season. I don't think they're going to do it again. I think the 49ers go down to Charlotte and take this one. I mean, I think the 49ers are built a little more for this time of year. The weather's a little bit colder. You saw they went up in Green Bay. They're a team that can run the ball. They can give you, whatever they need to do in a certain situation, in a certain game. I think the 49ers are built to do that. Their defense is built for this kind of thing. I don't think in his first playoff game, I think Cam Newton will probably do well, but I see the 49ers taking this one.
Talent for talent. The Niners are a better team. They're just a better team. I mean, I don't know Kaepernick, Cam Newton, which one is the better player out of those two. But if you look at the Niners offense and you look at the Niners defensively, they're a little bit better overall. This is a little bit better team. So I'm going with the Niners.
Here's the thing,
the Niners
grown man ball is something you got to deal with.
Yeah.
This is the game I'm looking forward to seeing because what I do is two physical teams, two nasty defenses. So I'm definitely looking forward to this game. I think it's going to come down to the Panthers just not being ready and the Niners being tested and being in the playoffs and going through that run last year. I think, next year it will be the Panthers' year to make a run, but I think that the Niners they're playing good ball right now, and I'm not even going to lie. I probably would have picked the Panthers, but I was very impressed with what I saw in that Green Bay game, so I have to go with San Fran as well. Just because of the experience. They're going through that run last year, I think they're ready. It's going to be a good game. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Cap or Cam?
Nasties.
Real quick. Cap or Cam, which running quarterback do you want?
I mean, come on. I don't even want to say running quarterback. I don't want to say black quarterback. In terms of just comparing those two, it's difficult.
Why not?
Huh?
I think I would go Cam. I think I would go Cam, but I think I would go Cam just quarterback for quarterback, but I think Kaepernick is more built to be on the team that he's on. So I think he can be very successful with the makeup of his team. So he could probably look more successful while not being a better quarterback.
Here's the thing. I think Cam's upside is bigger because Cam, I mean, just like size and physical ability, but I think he still has some things watching him play. His mechanics still need some work, and, he has to get that together. But anyway, let's move on to the next game.
Jimmy, one thing he's proven in his 3 years is that he is going to work, and that's what we didn't know about Cam when they drafted him. All right, last game, Chargers go to Jimmy's Broncos, and if history, 4 straight years, is an indicator of anything, then we don't even have to pick this game because the Chargers are going to win the Super Bowl because for the last 4 years, every team who has been the opponent for the Philadelphia Eagles in their home opener has gone on to win the Super Bowl. Baltimore last year, who was right before Baltimore? Y'all know the order. The last 4 Super Bowl champions opened their season. I mean, when the Eagles opened their home, their home opener at the Link, these were their opponents, and they won the Super Bowl. This year, it was San Diego, so they're going to beat Denver and move on and go to the Super Bowl, but I'm picking Denver. Who y'all got? I ain't crazy.
Denver.
I mean, here's the thing, man. Everybody knows I'm Bronco gang, man. Like, we can't lose, Nowadays can't leave. Like, if we lose this game, never mind.
We might catch a body or something.
We'll
talk more in depth about that you guys check our WarRoomSportsTV.com tomorrow for our latest episode of Field Vision, where we're going to break these 4 games down, and we won't be in a rush to do it, and we'll have some more guys on the panel. So check that out tomorrow, but it's time for us to get up out of here.
Thanks for joining us again in the War Room, good people. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, those on Facebook, Twitter, and all the calls who chimed in to holler at us. Big thanks to Fred Perdue talking college sports with us. Don't forget, watch the conference championship games this week, and check back with us next week and also throughout the week on Twitter and Facebook at War Room Sports. And don't forget, like Dev said, WarRoomSportsTV.com to watch all of our amazing shows. Until next time, everybody, don't accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance, and we'll see you chumps on top.
San Diego Supercharger.
Jimmy, know the blueprint. Every Thursday, 6 to 8, they do this. Shout out to Dev, PJ, B. Austin, Doc Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like magic in the block push. Listen live, push 1 to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip hop dollars, pit stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Corporate secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC, royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dev, TJ, Doc Bay, B. Austin. I'm shot. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.
Kuwait, it's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table, 5 Philly